Turn the headphones up. Hey, oh, yeah. Well, I guess you can call me a dreamer. Hey, but I do believe that things will change. We've been through the storm. Yeah, we've gone through the valley. There's nowhere else to go but up. We shall overcome. We will. We shall overcome. Yeah. We shall overcome. Someday. Now, if you believe that, just help me sing it. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome racism. We shall overcome hatred, jealousy. Now, even if you don't believe it, help me say this. We'll walk hand in hand. I believe it. We'll walk hand in hand. I already see it. We'll walk hand in hand. Yeah. Someday. See, it don't matter what color you are or where you come from. We'll walk hand in hand. You're my brother. We'll walk hand in hand. You're my sister, my friend. We'll walk hand in hand. Yeah. Someday. I really like this part right here. Freedom. We will all be free. We will all be free. We will all be free. I believe it and I receive it today. We will all be free. Freedom. Someday. Now just help me say it one more time if you believe that. We will all be free. We will all be free. Free from our father's sins. Free from our own sins. Free from racism. From jealousy, from hatred. We will all be free. Someday. Let's take it to the chorus. Oh, deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I do believe. I do believe. We shall overcome. Yes. Let it be today. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everyone. Hello, viewers. Welcome back to our best show, Bangladeshi Entrepreneur Society of Talents. And this time in this summer during the pandemic, we have taken a huge undertaking to bring in our next generation in front of you to discuss several social matters. And it's been a big show. The audience is growing very fast. You guys are amazing. All the viewers every week. Last week we had a big show on LGBTQ. The week before we had a session on bullying, social issues like Black Lives Matter, presidential election, class of 2020. I can go on and on and on. And this is just a phenomenal experience for all of us to see our next leaders, next generation speak in this show. And today the topic is very timely. We are in our summer, but we're about to go back to school, our kids, our children. And are we ready for that? Are we ready for like a blended model or fully online class or in person at the universities and high schools and colleges and whatnot? So our highly talented individuals are ready to talk about that. And today, actually, we usually bring in people from all over the world, along with North America. We have one person coming from Malaysia. It's at midnight, but just imagine the energy that we have. She has agreed to be on the show right at midnight from Malaysia. So without further ado, let me bring our moderators. First, I like to bring Mo, Farhana Mo. As you all
Hello.
know, hello Mo. Uh,
Hello.
and I like to bring Zarafsha Zara. Hey Zara, how are you?
I'm good.
All
Looking
right.
forward to the show.
I know this is our 11th show. Can you believe it?
It's
This is amazing.
crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, let you guys run. And again, as always, I'll go back to the backstage and, try to coordinate everything. And then you guys have a wonderful time. And the viewers, please stay tuned. You're about to view another wonderful show. Thank you. I think, Farhana, your connection might be a little um, weak. Can you, not sure. Yeah, Zarafsha, can you hear me? I'm extremely sorry for some technical difficulties. Can you hear? Okay, not sure. Viewers, please bear with us. We're trying to get our technical difficulties taken care of. Um, Zarafsha, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can. Okay, so let me see. Mo, you're
Can you
good?
hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's get started.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, again. It's the 11th episode. It's a roller coaster ride, right, Zarafsha, from the beginning.
Correct.
So, again, welcoming, I'm Farhana Zaman Mo, and then we have Zarafsha Ahmed, who will be hosting the open discussion, one that we really look forward to because there's a lot of exchange with the audiences. If you are new to Best Talk series today, I have to tell you this platform, Best, it is about inviting talented individuals to own this virtual stage, to raise awareness and discuss issues that really impact our lives. This week, we will be talking with our young panelists on whether schools should reopen. With the COVID-19 pandemic, half of the school year since March just shifted into a virtual classroom. It just happened drastically, between day and night. Just we were going to schools and suddenly we were sitting in front of a laptop and trying to figure out how do we get the rest of the year done. Um, l- and we did. We actually managed to. Although, yes, it's been difficult, but we have managed. And now, with the new academic year kicking in, again, the question is back. And I think it is one of those questions that is even more difficult to answer than if, the work institutions should reopen at this point. So I've been reading a lot about it, and pediatricians, they actually urge that schools should reopen their doors so that they do not risk development harm to kids. Working parents, they're always worried about having to leave the workforce altogether in the absence of a place to send their children every day. And there is also this added pressure from political campaigning that is actively happening that schools should reopen, otherwise, fundings could be cut. However, teachers and first-hand responders, they think otherwise. They think that remote learning could be made better. We could have better options. But with uncertainty about COVID-19 and no vaccinations yet on its way, we could still continue to do remote learning or a hybrid option of, not going to school every day and various reasons. So here we are. We want to discuss with the panelists today. What do you think? If you are okay with it, if you feel safe, if you don't feel safe, it's up. That's what we want to discuss. So before I get started, I wanted to introduce our young panelists today. So we have Basim Ahmed, Fariba Kadir, Simi Iqbal, Ishmam Ahmed, Rifa Nanziba Hussain, Farhan Kadir, and Tasmia Hassan. Thank you so much for joining the show. And some of you, I have known you guys from before, the shows that we've been doing. And I can just say that, You guys are a pro. We didn't even have to go through a lot of discussion. And for those who are new to it, thank you so much for coming in today. So let's begin the show. And I would like to start with Basim. So, Basim, you're studying at Churchill High School. There was a survey released on July 23rd from a Kaiser Family Foundation poll, which actually published results that 60% of parents whose children normally attend school express that it is better to delay schools as of now, to open schools and to let children join schools. But of course, remote learning is a possibility. But 35% of the parents, which is a big number, actually think it is better to open the school for the academic year. So, Basim, what do you think will be the dangers of reopening schools and universities by September?
I think that there are various and obvious dangers of reopening the schools by this fall. Since COVID-19 is like a respiratory spread virus, maintaining a minimum of 6 feet away of social distancing in a classroom, I think will be very difficult for both students and teachers to keep. And I just don't see a viable way of that happening inside the classroom. The health risks for the teachers and the parents of the students, especially, are self evident since in face instruction is the most effective way for the virus to spread, as the virus can linger in the air for hours. And I think that since September is in the middle of the influenza season that happens every year, I think the likelihood for infection is going to be extremely high.
Mhm. Pediatricians, I mean, surprisingly, they have been urging that this might still be a good idea to still send kids to school, despite them being doctors. And they think that, just like every other thing that we need to expose children to so that they get antibodies for that virus, they still think this is possible for the children. Do you think it's the same? I mean, from what you've been reading, you still think that that's still a good idea to, fight for open schools to reopen?
No, I don't think it's a good idea. Even if the children themselves are safe, it's more about them being a carrier of the virus to other people who are at risk, such as the people at home. And I think that opening schools would put their parents, especially, and teachers, who the majority are of the older generation, at a very big risk.
That's a very good point made, that they could be carriers, and I completely agree with that. The disease again. So I wanted to ask you, Basim talked about the dangers to reopening schools. And as I mentioned earlier, pediatricians, parents, especially when they have to be, pediatricians are supporting, but parents have to be physically at work. So those parents do support that it is best to get back to school. Trump campaigners are also voting to open academic institutions ASAP. What do you think, Fariba, will be benefits of reopening schools and universities by September?
I'd say the biggest benefit of having in-person classes is the environment of a classroom. Not everyone at home has the best environment, a quiet place to work. And like if people are sharing rooms, it'll be hard for everyone to be online having classes. It'll be hard to concentrate. And for some people, learning in a classroom is hard for like people with disabilities. It's hard for them not to learn in a classroom. And for lower income students, some people might not have a computer access or internet access. And going to school for younger students, like you said, isn't just for academics. It's for the development of language communication, social and emotional skills.
But are you willing to give up, being safe? Because I think the problem is that there is still a very, very strong uncertainty that has been lingering around the thought that will they be safe? Because they're children. Even if we talk about people with disabilities, will they be able to follow, standard protocol to be safe and to do what needs to be done? So keeping that in mind, you still do think that, like I know it's a trade-off, but what do you think? Is it better to be safe or is it better to be, go through it and see what happens?
In my opinion, for younger students, like people in elementary school or even high school, I think that they should stay at home and do online learning, because I couldn't imagine like a kindergartner staying in a classroom for 6 hours with a mask on. Like, it's really hard for them to have those things on for so long. And, you know, some people aren't very mature. I feel like people have been saying that people will cough on people as a joke when it's actually serious. The virus is spreading a lot. But for people in college, I feel like it'll, like, for my college, we're having most of our classes online, and only some, like the smaller classes, we're going to be having in person. So I think for that it would be fine, because people are more mature and everyone knows the safety regulations and what to do.
Right. But again, that question is still lingering, right? Right there.
Yeah.
I mean, would you be still feeling worried? Because I know when you go to university, you will be going to the dorms, right? You would be living there.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think, how difficult would it be for you? Or have you had that conversation with your parents when you think it's difficult for them to accept that you will be in the dorms, you know, amidst COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing a lot to keep everything, keep the virus, or like lots of safety precautions. Like, we have single dorms now and no roommates. And I know my dad, he wants me to stay home, but I don't want to give up that experience.
Right.
So I'll be going to the dorms this fall. So, but that's just
Right.
what I'm comfortable with. If people aren't comfortable, they always have the option of staying home.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Fariba. Simi, my next question is for you. So you're a rising senior at South County High School. Simi, we're still very uncertain about COVID rates globally, and we obviously don't have a perfect solution yet, about keeping this COVID-19 virus at bay. So would it even be possible or effective to close schools for the semester in case there is a second wave of this COVID-19?
I think it's very possible. However, like Fariba said, some people really need that in-class experience to effectively learn. But when it's like a life and death matter, I think we can manage it and make it work online, like we've been doing, like at the end of this past school year. And I think we should continue to do that just for the health and safety of everyone, because yeah, it's just not very realistic to expect like some kids to follow strict protocols during long days of school. You know, it's just very difficult. So although it's not the easiest to deal with, I think it is very effective. It just eliminates the possibility of someone possibly losing their life because of this decision. So yeah, I think it's very effective and a good idea.
But I think the problem was the first time, even when we had the first wave of the virus, and even continuing to that, whatever happened in Florida, Texas, it took a while. I mean, until the numbers really did not rise to a certain extent, it wasn't possible for anyone to know that this is getting worse. So, with schools reopening, I mean, I expect children to be running around, and even if for a while, even if it's adults in university, I do expect them to be talking in one corner for a while without remembering that COVID is a problem. Uh, you so I just wanted to know, like, how easy would it actually be if, first of all, reading the signs of a second wave, especially in terms of an academic institution, and secondly, that once they feel that it is time to close again, how easy would it suddenly be for all of you to just step online, just step back to another world just because you know that it's, I mean, I think it's easy, but it's just adaptation. Do you think that adaptation for a student would be easier?
For some students that, during this pandemic are having like a hard time, I think it is probably easier for them. But I do see how for a lot of people it might be hard to find the motivation or be able to learn as effectively online. But I still think that it's important to just start and begin to adapt to it, because in the long run, it's way safer.
Mhm. So I think what you're saying is adaptation is the key. We can have both paths open and just, uh, I mean, I guess go by what the results say
Yeah,
and
we just kind of
work
have
with it.
to
Hmm.
work with circumstances.
Hmm.
If it's like life or death, I think we should just work with what we can and try our best to adapt, even if it's not the most convenient.
Right, that's very brave, Simi. Thank you. So my next question is for Ishmam. Ishmam, I know that you will be graduating on 2021 and you will be a rising senior at Churchill High School. So Ishmam, in your opinion, do you think that there will be another outbreak if schools and universities actually open up? And if it is, like I said, I did ask Simi that should they close, and she said yes, they should close back. But do you think after this outbreak, it would be easy to still manage? Because you're talking about an academic institution, particularly where the outbreak has happened.
Well, regarding the second wave of the coronavirus, another outbreak is predicted before fall, regardless if schools were to open or not. If anything, the opening will only greater the effect and spread of the surge, bringing it to those who are actually affected, such as our parents.
Mhm.
In my particular case, the governor already canceled the first semester of eye-to-eye schooling
Mhm.
or physical
Mhm.
contact, while the second semester will be decided after further analysis. So yeah, schools would and should close down if there's another surge in cases. But for the overall societal impacts, there would not be much differences from how the previous semester played out. Online schooling would inevitably continue. In my opinion, though, nothing should be placed into full effect until the pandemic is surely over, because it's better safe than sorry, right? Remote learning
Right.
has
Yeah.
worked, but like there's no problem with continuing it.
Mhm. So, I mean, do I feel like you do prefer online learning because that makes you feel safe and secure at home?
Right, but it's not really me. I wouldn't be affected by coronavirus. My
Mhm.
classmates won't be affected, but I know my parents will. I know that they'll have a tough
Mhm.
time going through this type of virus. Single-stranded retroviruses, these spread really quickly and are airborne, so
Mhm.
it's really dangerous.
And if you think that, like you mentioned, that it is better to still go on, and I mean, obviously, prevention is better than cure. So, how do you think this is impacting and overall? Like, I do think that we have a newer normal. Life has changed. We're way more online than we could be. We haven't seen our friends, but ho- do you think if this goes for a long run, impacting the society and in a long term, with these analytics in effect, unless and until there is a vaccination, I don't think anyone wants to think this is safe. So, how is it impacting the society in a long run,
Right,
especially
education-wise,
student lifestyle? Mm-hmm.
yeah, education-wise, it's obviously not as effective as in school. And socially, I do think that students are missing out on key opportunities like senior year opportunities. But in the long run, nothing will be affected, in my opinion. It's just a year of education rather than losing thousands of lives. So I'd rather take a year off my education than lose my parents. So that's just my opinion.
That's very sweet. And I think rightfully said that, prevention is better than cure should always be the right thing to do, and especially with what Dr. Fauci says. But yeah, I think even as a whole, not, we have had a lot of different um, social social influencers saying different things. So it's very hard to follow what should be right. But thank you, Ishmam, for that. My next question is for Rifa. Rifa is currently studying at Jesselton International School in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, which is in Malaysia. She will soon be going to the eighth grade. So you are our youngest panelist here, Rifa. And of course, you are, at 12 at midnight at this point. So thank you for keeping up for us. So, Rifa, you have been
Yeah.
very, proactive over the last month. I mean, sorry, not you, Malaysia. Malaysia has actually been very proactive over the last months, with COVID-19, and they have recorded minimum cases, fatal cases actually. So, and I also understand that Malaysia has already gone back to normal, and the schools have reopened. And I think as of July 23rd, all the schools are going to be reopening. So just wanted to ask, are you ready, for your school to reopen? And how safe do you feel about it?
Um, I I would say I am ready for the school to open, but then again, I am not really feeling safe about it because, as what like everyone said about like their parents' safety and all, I'm not really safe about that. But again, I'm not really sure. So I mean, our school will open around like next month,
Mm-hmm.
and they or like our health ministry and our educational ministry already came to our school, checked if we can like do the social distancing while also studying with each other, and they said we could. But again, it's like it's this feeling that we might not be safe, like even if we get affected, like what everyone said here, um it might not affect us as much as our parents or
Mm-hmm.
anyone else who lives with us. So yeah, um,
You're not, yeah. So you said that you don't feel safe, but I was actually reading through a little bit about Malaysian schools reopening there. So they said they have a lot of standard operating procedures that are adhering to very, very strict rules in schools and for students. So do you think, like, you are a student going to school, how much do you think that you are capable of taking all these perfect measures to make sure that school is safe? Do you
now
think like it's actually possible as a student to be working around those measures or to be studying?
now um I would say I could take the measurements. Like I wouldn't mind like still continuing the social distancing, but I'm not sure about my friends because they're all like touchy. They all like to
They
hug
all
each
like to hug
other.
and yeah, right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's not gonna be that easy to do the social distancing. So
So,
that's
so
what I,
it's likable, right? That you would
yeah,
tend to forget social distancing when you see your friends and when you're
yeah.
having fun and studying together. Yeah, that's true. But again, like I do have to say that, Malaysia seems to be doing great. And so does that mean that you feel a little bit forced to be back to school?
No, it doesn't make me feel forced because by these months I've been very bored because I love school and I love
Uh-huh.
my friends since I'm like the only child, and yeah.
I can imagine that. Everyone is bored, believe me. But I think it's a good thing that you know what you have to do. So good luck for that. And you're probably the first in all of us who's actually going back to school or academic place. So good luck for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rifa. My next question is to Farhan. Farhan is studying
Okay.
at University of Maryland College Park and working as a technical analyst as well. So, Farhan, we have read and heard often that parents in particular are feeling the crisis of leaving workforce and being at home because there is not another place for their children to go after school. So, how do you think after our school has been affected particularly?
Well, thing about that is that I mean, for one thing, it's not like they're starting to go to classes and come back because, like with College Park, most of them, for like a good huge majority, are just doing it online. Like I'm doing it online, and but prior to like this complete change up, like when the classes were being online during the pandemic, like I had a group project with my like friends and such, and we used to just go after school hours and hang out at one of the nearby classrooms where they had tables you can study through, and then talk about the project together over there. And then now we just now when the pandemic happened, we just started having these Skype calls with each other um, online, and there was a big difference on like how we communicated and tried to figure out
Mhm.
things, but. I think the thing that still stays the same is that our plans were still the same of what we discussed with each other. Now that's just one example. It's like with group related projects, like how that was impacted. It was less face to face, and we couldn't really actually do work with each other in that area. But as for clubs and activities, I wouldn't exactly know or for sure how that would be impacted. I just guess I think that I think I remember some emails came through, like if you're subscribed, lucky enough to have been put your email into a contact list with some of the clubs that they may that would introduce you. They might bring up like an online meeting. But yeah, I think with it comes to like things like clubs, for example, it's become a lot more harder, not as much prominent, because they're very much focused on the hands-on or sometimes going from one place in the other spot to do things. So that's gonna be just as much issue. I think another issue that's been certain that may have happened in the campus is being able to like study in like the library. That's like a big area that you do in like McKeldin or any of the libraries in after school hours, like especially during finals week. There used to be like crowds of students going into libraries and the tables just hang out and just learn talking to each other to be able to do better in like the exam by like studying over there in the area, which is ironic because library is quiet or small, but I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah, yeah.
now been toned down a lot, and I think it's now not it doesn't stay that long open for those type of stuff because of the pandemic. So I guess you could say like after hours we don't really think of it that much, at least from like a school point of view. And then, but in the hand scheme of things, it would make it better for us to like learn better, or sometimes feel more like relaxed, like do something that's outside of our studies that we want to do, that still can keep us like educated. So yeah, overall, like I think that that's my expertise on the whole subject. Like just what my experience was with group activities, what my experience was with change in how the studies go, especially when you do group studies. And as for after hours, like with families, after like, you do your school and then with families, I'm not sure if it's really much different, especially if it's online. Like nothing really exactly changes per se. I wouldn't know because like freshmen, I think are like the only most main students who may or may not have like a face-to-face kind of class going on.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not really exactly sure about that. I mean, this is a little off topic from my question. I guess I could discuss this,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
think I remember like one of the people who works in like these campuses said that they have to teach this. They're gonna give the students kind of like a pseudo class. Where they teach how to do the virtual classrooms. So there's gonna be like another lesson of doing that, and that's gonna be another part of like the new semester when and we're still in this online class quarantine type of thing. It's that we gotta get a lot more students up to speed with the online type of classrooms. So I'm pretty certain they're gonna do like either a class itself of like teaching how to do that online stuff, or just like a few days just learning how to understand how to do the online classroom. And so yeah, that's all I know about this whole thing.
Yeah, I think it is also difficult to answer that topic because um, you know, it's an environment change, but it's pretty natural that you can after hours you're basically hanging out with friends. Now you're hanging out online. So I think it is what you just get used to it. But also also the other side of it, which I wanted to talk about, and maybe if you have heard anything about it, is that especially for younger students, I mean, speak the kids who go to elementary schools, sometimes their parents are doing a 9 to 5 job, and so obviously they finish at 3 o'clock, and then they go to a child aftercare program or something where they just spend more time and learn something. So I have been hearing in the news that they have been more affected than others, but do you feel like do you feel natural that it is okay because children get to stay more home now, and that is a better idea? Or do you think that children could still get back to these childcare programs because they would just be more added development, to their skills or cognitive thinking?
Um, I guess it would just be like I don't really know an exact answer. I guess like it just like if there's like elementary school kids who just both stay at home because their parents are willing to do it, they'll say that that's a good option and the best. And then there's people kids who just go to childcare even during this pandemic, and let's say best case scenario, they do all the masks and everything like that. They keep them on for quite a while and stuff. They might say that they've gotten used to it and they're okay with that as well. So I'm not exactly can say for sure if like one thing is better than the other. I mean, ideally speaking, you want to stay at home with your parents, and I can't really imagine a lot of jobs still wanting parents or people to still go over at the workplace, because like all the jobs also want to be careful and make sure they're not spreading the virus around and have their workers get sick. So I'm guessing I think but yeah, it'd just be better to be at home. But if there was a case where they were still doing that, then it would just be kind of like you just gotta accept it. Like especially with the childcare type of thing. Like the kids will just have to like accept that they're gonna have to like wear the masks in the childcare if they're doing that, or just stay in some other place when their parents are away for a moment. And that's gonna take a while to deal with though, however. So I think the only real problem about that is just getting used to it, especially those type of kids at that age. And that just adds another problem. I'm not saying that like that's a huge like problem that's like stays permanent. It's more of like a problem that's trying to overcome and accept it. But as for like an infection type of thing, staying at home is much more ideal way of just removing the amount of infection. So having to stay at like a child's daycare might be an issue. I mean, there could also be effective that there's like another friends or family that could like just have the kids stay over there. That would work much better if they could do that. But I'm not sure if that always works. But it would be nice if that works, if that was a solution or some alternate solution for that.
Yeah, I know it's a rhetorical question. It's really like, and it's a gray line because, childcare is something extra. You also pay more for it after school hours. So it's actually very difficult for a parent to decide if they still want to send their children there. But thank you, Farhan, for taking a quick talking about it actually. So my next question is to Tasmia. Tasmia, you're a sophomore at Drexel University and you're majoring in biomedical engineering. I made this mistake last time too. I'm sorry about it again. Tasmia, if schools open up, there will definitely be an implementation of certain standard operating procedures to adhere as a student. And I think the same would be also for universities. How would you adapt to this very new lifestyle? And are you comfortable thinking that this new lifestyle could be just a very new normal in your life going forward?
Yeah, well, I would first start off by saying how that humans are all about evolution and adaptation. So we've been doing that since the beginning of time, and we will just keep on doing that. So experiencing something like that in our age and this lifetime is like completely unexpected, but we need to do what we need to do. And this is the new normal, and we just need to get used to it, no matter whether we like it or not, and try to find out ways through which we can minimize its effects. Knowing that vaccines are still like a very long way off because clinical trials and everything takes so long, this is definitely something that we need to get used to, like the new lifestyle. And I'd also like to add on to the point that virtual learning is something that we have a little experience on. Like I did my spring quarter completely online, and a lot of my friends who did summer courses, they're doing it completely online as well. So we have a taste of what it's like. We know how the classes go, how the exams go, what preparations the professors make to make sure that we're not cheating or we're not sharing answers over the phone and everything else. So there are certain protocols that are already there for virtual learning, and we're kind of used to it, but it is just getting more used to it. And like everyone else in this panel, it pointed out that it's better to be safe than sorry. So we should really opt for the virtual learning in this case, which will be the better plan for sure. And if we ever think of moving to a hybrid model, or which my university was thinking of doing, or even do in-person classes later on, there definitely will be a lot of changes. Like we wouldn't have those big lecture halls with 100 people in them. There'll be like fewer people and sanitizers and masks and obviously the basic things. It definitely will be a part of the new normal for the next, I believe, in what experts have been saying, for the next 1 year or even more. So it is just another lifestyle change. We have to get used to it. If everyone's responsible, if we take care of ourselves and our community, then we can definitely control the spread and make this long time period much shorter.
Well said, Tasmia. Also, like you mentioned, that we just have to get used to it. It's the new normal. So, do I consider that you would be one of those advocates that if someone else is not listening, your peers in the university, you're willing to advocate that the new normal is basically covering yourself, having masks on, gloves on if needed, and whatever the standard operating procedures are? Would you be that? Would you be advocating that across campus if you have to?
Absolutely. I've been already doing that on Instagram and Facebook and wherever I can in this
That's
virtual
great.
environment because I've seen a lot of people, especially in America, people are not believing in what experts are saying. They say the deaths are not all due to COVID, probably due to other deaths. People are just faking the numbers. The masks are real. A lot of people believe that. I think it's sad more than it's funny to think that people are not being actively responsible in this situation. Uh, I've seen a funny picture online saying recovering from this pandemic is like a teamwork, and that's why teamwork is so difficult. It is definitely a teamwork. I would
Yes, it
definitely
is.
be an advocate for it because I want people around me to be safe. I want myself to be safe because it's not only about old people. In the beginning of the pandemic during March and February, we first got the numbers saying that it was only people above 70s who were dying, but the youngest kid who died was probably 17. So it's basically teenagers being affected as well. And even the mild conditions of coronavirus might sound mild, but it's really, really difficult for the one who goes through it. So yeah, I would definitely like to tell
Mhm.
people, please wear a mask and do whatever you can.
You actually raise an important point. Is this something? I mean, I understand that, and I think I always get that feeling, even with this whole topic about schools reopening, that somehow most authorities have this misconception that this kind of thing is impacting only the older people and the younger generation is not being impacted. Is that one of the reasons why, you know, um, they tend to not believe in it and they just think that it's okay, we won't be impacted? Is that like the kind of misconception that's going around even in schools and universities with students? Because you were telling me that some are not serious about it. Is that because they just believe we won't be the ones who will be, impacted?
Yeah, well, I was having a Zoom call with my friends and they shared their views. They shared what their parents were thinking. And a lot of them said that my parents think it's still a hoax, it's still not,
God.
the pandemic is real. And obviously, my friends try to explain that to their parents. But I would like to say that kids and old people are always more vulnerable to any disease, let alone the coronavirus. Obviously, they will be more affected whenever we have any sort of outbreak. But only focusing on them is just a bigger problem because a single person meets so many people, and this virus spreads a lot. It's it spreads more than the flu does. So
Right.
there will be a lot of contact with a lot of people, willingly, unwillingly. I might touch something and another old person comes and they touch it, and that's how I spread. And yeah, I would say it's definitely a misconception thinking that only old people are getting it, or people with asthma, or people with other respiratory diseases. It's you never know who it can affect because the virus is still so new. Like there weren't. I was looking into these clinical trials and researchers because I'm particularly interested in these, and I found out that people don't know a lot of things yet. I remember when they said that masks weren't necessary in the beginning of the pandemic, and now they said that it is. So it's not experts changing their opinion, it's just people looking at raw data and finding out what's best at this point. So the
What
virus is
suits
still
them
new.
best?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
So the virus is relatively new, even though it had similar strains in the past, but it's relatively still new, and we have a lot to know about it. Maybe in the future, it might say it probably affects kids more, it probably affects females or males more. And there might be more data, and we can make better judgments on that. So it's just better to be safe and have precautions for everybody,
Right.
regardless of our age.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tasmia. That was interesting actually about, how different, I would say different age groups view this virus differently. Oh my God, calling it a hoax would be would be a joke at this point. But thank you so much, the panelists, for coming up with all these innovative, insights to the questions that we have had. Thank you so much again. So our next set of discussion will be led by Zarafsha Ahmed, and it'll be an open discussion. So viewers, I urge you to ask questions to these young panelists, and keep the show going. And so over to you, Zarafsha. Thank you again.
No, thank you, everyone. And again, once again, I'm always so surprised by everyone's answers and how thoughtful and informative you guys all are in whatever you have to say. So thank you. We're going to take a little break and have a presentation section. And so a lot of the panelists, as you know, not only are they like super smart, they're also really talented. And so we just want to take a moment to share that with you guys. So first, I want to ask if Rifa can share her drawings, I guess, during this time, having this moment to be like artistic is it's kind of like a privilege, even though everything around us is so crazy right now. So Rifa, if you want to share your drawings and maybe even say a little bit about them, explain them and what you've been doing.
Okay. So I drew this picture of my cousin. I don't know if you can see.
Mm-hmm.
So I drew this because I missed her a lot, and she's the one thing that she keeps me entertained, because since I'm the only child and it's hard to keep myself entertained.
Mm-hmm.
So drawing is one thing that keeps me entertained. So I decided to draw her. And I also drew for my grandpa's book cover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You do that whole thing? Do you mostly draw then? Is that your, what is it, material of choice?
I think it's worth mentioning, right? That you told me that Rifa, that drawing on the cover, the book got published, right? And your grandfather had your drawing. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So you basically have a cover. You have a cover.
Yeah, that is nice. And it looks so good.
Thank you. And this is also a book cover for like my nana, or like grandpa from my mom's side. I drew this for him, so I hope
Is that done to the cover too? Or wow, congratulations.
That's great. Do you do this? Have you always been an artist?
I don't know.
No?
No.
Do you take classes? Is that, or do you
no.
do it for free time?
Yeah, I'll just do it for free time.
Well, that's amazing to have
Thank you.
2 covers just from this hobby. So thank you for sharing. And I hope you keep drawing and keep improving. Now we're gonna share a performance. One of our panelists, Ishmam, is a part of this incredible band, and he plays the trumpet and other instruments. And so this performance is from a competition, which I believe his band actually won first place. So let's see that.
Wow. Which one are you, by the way? I couldn't figure that out.
I was one of the trumpets at the front.
So there was like 2 pinks, a dark pink and a lighter pink. Which one were you?
I think I was wearing green right next to the pink. So yeah.
Oh, because you're the one in the middle.
Yeah, right.
That's great. That's a difficult thing to blow.
What's your school band? Is that?
That's my school band. So yeah, I'm enrolled at the music program at my high school, and I've been blessed with a bunch of unique opportunities. This year, for example, I was able to play for large crowds in Miami, Florida, and play in competitions. So yeah, we play at many football games such as that, and it's really fun.
Yeah, no, and that's such a fun song to play too. Um, is this something like playing the trumpet? Is that a hobby of yours, or do you just play for school?
Yeah, I've been playing since fourth grade, so it has become a big hobby of mine. And I also play for school. I've been in band class for every year of school in high school. So yeah.
So do you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely.
No, that's fun. Have you been practicing during quarantine?
Yeah, and I also have like my instruments hung up on the wall just for
wow.
decoration, so I can always pull them down.
What else do you play?
Well, I used to play the piano, but now I'm just only focusing on trumpet.
Okay, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
incredible. I think because being like musically talented is incredible, but also you have to keep practice. There's so much practicing involved.
Right.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing. So now we're gonna see a dance video that Fariba and Simi and also one of the old, I don't know if anyone watching remembers Sophie. She's also part of this dance troupe. And so we're gonna see a classical dance performance, which is it's so hard to do. So I'm very excited to see what you guys have done. That was
Wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm seeing positive comments from the people too. Someone said it's a really elegant way of showing talent. So great job, you guys. Are you guys still part of this dancing group?
No, we aren't part of it anymore because I'm going to college, but I definitely want to dance when I'm in college as well.
No,
And
yeah,
what's your
UMD has a
favorite? Do you guys like only classic? Do you guys prefer classical dancing, or you guys do other styles as well?
Yeah, we've also done
I've only been, yeah. You can go ahead, Sydney.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say how like we also do like folk dancing for like other events, and we've done dances for best events as well. So yeah, but we would learn Odyssey mainly.
Yeah, it's a very difficult form of dance,
Someone asked.
especially because it doesn't go by the beats, right? Like it's
Yeah, there's
the
like
beats
in
are
between
the
like
beats are
imaginary
very
beats sometimes.
amazing.
Was this a Gothic dance? Someone was asking.
No, it's
No,
Odyssey.
this is Odyssey.
That's cool. How long have you guys been dancing? Because I know classical music takes like years to get good at.
Yeah,
We've been dancing since I've been dancing since I was, I think, 4 or 5. I'm not really sure. I don't remember, but pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I think we started earlier.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I mean, that's such a great like touchstone to have with your culture and like ability to showcase this talent. So I'm so grateful that you guys have shared this with us. Thank you, and I hope you guys keep dancing. Now we're going to move into the question and answer section, and this is once again, I'll just ask a question to all of you, maybe one of you specifically sometimes, and anyone can answer, can piggyback on someone else. And to the audience, feel free to keep asking questions as we are talking. Anything about what we talked today, any questions you have for the panelists, any concerns you have that you want to bring up. So feel free to ask those questions to us. I want to start first of all by asking a question about something Sasmia brought up about how you can't really tell what other students are going to do during this when you reopen school. So I want to ask you guys, to the people whose schools are reopening, who's going back in person, are you concerned about, or like, do you feel like you can trust the people around you, even if like the schools and the government has like sets like correct precautions? Do you think you can trust them? And is there even like a way to like enforce rules when people don't want to?
I can take this question. So even though my school isn't opening, probably it might, but I'm not sure. I would say that I do believe some of my friends are going to take all the precautions necessary. But looking at even what I do right now on a daily basis, I think it's hard. It's hard for everyone, especially if you have a lot of friends and family around. Like I have a lot of cousins and everyone around. We try our best to maintain social distancing, but sometimes we hang out and we probably order pizza. It's not the best that we can do right now, but this is what we do. We're humans. Sometimes we do just do something that we think that we regret later on. I think if I'm back on campus with my friends, while we're all wearing masks and we're trying to stay responsible, we might just go somewhere after class or just hang out in each other's dorms, which we normally do, which is going to be very scary because so many people come and leave in these dorms. It's not the safest. I would like to bring out this point. Like in freshman year, I lived in a dorm where we had traditional bathrooms. So we all had to share like these common bathroom places. So I cannot even imagine how that's going to work right now. Even though these places are being disinfected, it's really scary. So even if you are being safe, probably someone else isn't. So that is obviously a concern always.
Yeah. I also, I mean, social life is such a big part of your college experience or any experience, any human experience. So to the people that are going back to like school or to university, how do you think the social life of your social life might change, or how do you think you would want it to change? You know, if you're taking precautions, like not just like personally. I know university events and like school events like are a big part of like how you hang out with your friends and where you guys go. So do you anticipate that changing?
I can take this one.
Yeah.
So at school, the majority of our social time with my friends at least comes during lunch. And I feel like during the pandemic, like I can't really sit with them because that's much closer than 6 feet. So I want to be able to like spend time and laugh with my friends as I usually would have to. And since I'm going to become uprising senior, most of the school events that all the seniors look forward to as this is the final year of high school is going to be canceled, and it's just a real bummer.
No, definitely. I think, I mean, it does impact how you feel about high school, how you feel about like your college experience. Studying isn't the only thing that we're doing. It all comes together. So it does feel like, do you guys think it's worth it to have like just even like a little bit of like this experience? Or because I know a lot of people are taking like gap years or they're staying like doing like homeschooling. Do you guys think despite all that it's still like you want to be out there?
Well, of course we want to be out there, but it's just not the logical choice in the situation because, of course, you know, there's a pandemic going on, right? And personally, my social life hasn't been taking a big toll because I'm calling my friends every day. I'm playing with them online every day. In person would be much better, obviously, but I can take the break for a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely, I guess it ends up being like what each person is comfortable with giving up or risking. So I guess it does tend to be case by case. But I had a question about online classes in general. A lot of people have a little bit of experience from last semester, and a lot of people are, as when you mentioned, a lot of people are concerned over, you know, staying motivated or like that kind of the hardships that we had last time that we had online schooling. But do you think this time it might be better, more organized because schools have had so long to prepare? Because I think a lot of difficulty came from like teachers not knowing what to do. Like they had a week or so to like prepare this whole new course basically for their students. So do you think for even for like hybrid situations, it'll be a little more organized now because they have so much time to prepare, or is it just going to be chaos again?
Yeah, so the primary problem last semester was that there was such a haste to reorganize the program that it just became messy and cluttered. But now, since there's a whole summer and a little bit extra time to organize, and since there's already the infrastructure and program set in place, I feel like it'll be much easier for the teachers to organize with their students and speak with their students. On the student side, it was pretty easy for me, and I took 5 APs this year, so it's really not that hard for the students. But it was really hard for my teachers. I was speaking with my AP Bio teacher, and she had to handle all her classes in one day, take Zoom calls. So I think it'll be better for them.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to add how a lot of universities and schools are also taking suggestions from students and parents and what other ways they would like to change the experience of online learning. For example, we had a pass or fail system for a lot of our courses. They weren't graded because a lot of people might have difficulty studying online and the grade might not reflect their actual capabilities. So people are really chipping in and giving their ideas, and hopefully these schools and institutions are taking them into consideration and changing their protocols accordingly.
No, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of universities and teachers just don't know what to do in this situation. It's just like it's an impossible situation to be in. So I am glad that they're taking suggestions from students. I don't know if you guys have anything that you feel like, even if your school has taken precautions, if you think that's good enough, if you like expect your school to do a little more in terms of both like safety or like courses. Is there something, if you could suggest to your school, if there's something you want to ask? Because I mean, it can be hard to be in this situation. I don't really know what kind of lifestyle is going to like come up, what kind of changes is going to come up, how to adapt to this. But I'm hopeful that that the school, like, that'll work out. Because I mean, you can see both sides, because people do want to go back to school, go back to life. And it feels like this whole almost nearly like 7 months has like passed, and you don't want to keep doing this. And so I guess there is always going to be a way to move forward. But do you guys think, in terms of like the future, that schooling has changed, that schools are going to operate even after the pandemic is over? Do you think it's going to operate differently, if people are going to behave differently in school?
I can answer that question.
People have been.
Who's going ahead?
No, you can
Okay,
go.
I mean, I just wanted to tell that, the way I look at it is that we have taken it way more for granted. When we used to go to school, things were normal. There was nothing to be worried about. And now, although we will step back and then go back to school, I think there will be a sense of gratitude also coming, that, we're back to school, we're back to normal. And I mean, this is amazing. I think the feeling will be a little bit different. And But I think going forward, just to even be particularly aware of the fact that these things can happen again, it is so important that we have some hybrid options available that can always take effect, that every time something like this can strike back again. And just not trying to say that it will strike back again, but there could be so many reasons, but we don't want to stop these kids from getting educated. So I think hybrid options, now that we're picking up on it, just the same way we've started talking about public health being a disaster and how to do better about it, I think this is also somewhere, educationers should really concentrate on what should be a very good backup plan.
Yeah, definitely. That was also one of the points I wanted to bring up, that for the future, like now that we have experienced this, should like the country and the schooling systems be a little more prepared, because this has caught all of us so off guard. So thank you for bringing that point up, that it does, now that we know, it should be like online classes, virtual learning should be a little more accessible for everyone. And the fact that it hasn't been, is so concerning. So Fariba, did you want to add to that, or?
I was just gonna mention that, like, now that we have like online learning set up, now when people are absent, I think it'll be easy to catch up on work easier. And same with snow days. people will start teaching on snow days.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it does open up new avenues, because a lot of people that couldn't go to school every single day because of whatever reasons, like personal reasons, health reasons, now they know that you can have this option, that there is this way of either hybrid learning for accessibility for everyone. So I hope this does create change for the whole schooling system. So someone asked, what do you guys think about taking exams from home? Have you had any recent experiences? Like someone said they took 5 AP classes. So did you have to take the AP test at home, and how was that like? And do you know have they told you what the new protocols are going to be, or do you feel like taking these exams again would be effective?
I could take this question.
Yeah.
So we did have exams online, and it felt way more how would you say it felt way more weird online. So we had our parents watching us like through the exam, like if we're cheating or not. And there was this case in our school, like someone cheated in the exam, and I think he's probably expelled or something. I don't know, but online exams is definitely way more, I would say, easier, but I would prefer like face-to-face exams more.
Is there like different pressure? Like, did you feel less stressed when you were taking online?
Yeah, it was like less pressure for me. And yeah,
I think the setting, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we shall see. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I guess I'll talk about it, since I mentioned, technically speaking, I think I answered this question like way back when the last time I came here, like with Proctor U, and how they were telling me to have my webcam shared so that they could see everything, my tabs and stuff, and then I have to show my webcam in this way, and then lift the computer up and then show that I don't have any components like that. I know it was ridiculous. So I feel like that's probably what's gonna happen for classes that were specifically only meant to be done face to face. Although now this is where I go a little bit more different about it, is that like for some of the online exams I've taken before, like in hindsight, like I may have repeated some of the classes, or I may have like seen these classes before, but some of these, like a lot of these online exams, even for online classes that I've done it before, like the issues I had with them, and it's not necessarily just Proctor U, it's also like just like a lot of them are very old, like for years they've been doing the same exact type of quiz or exam, and sometimes that can lead to problems. And I know this for sure because some of these like questions, when I look back at them, or maybe I put them online and search it up, like they're pretty much word for word from like something else, like a textbook or something, and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna put it there. And I'm not gonna call out like professors on being like this type of like just put it in there, stick it in, and they'll figure it out. I think the issue is that we're gonna see a problem inevitably, where like when people are trying to take exams, or teachers trying to find a way to do exams, do it fairly without cheating and all that stuff. Like the issue will come down is like what you do in like physically is not gonna be the same when you do it like online. But like the other real issue is, maybe this is a general one, is also it's also, you got to figure, as teachers should probably be able to figure out how to conduct their exams or tests, like based on like the classes and how they learn online. But I know for a fact that's not going to definitely happen, because the curriculum is a very muddled in topic. Like a lot of the teachers or professors are obligated to put the tests and make them in a way in this fashion sometimes, in that sense, and that becomes a big problem, because if you're teaching a class, let's say online, then the way of communication is way different than if you do the exam or those type of things, and that can be a problem. Like I think the biggest way to make it, you guys understand, if it's ever possible, is that let's say you're doing like a programming class, and then you have to use, if everyone ever used this, I'm not sure you guys are in college yet entirely, but I am, but there's a thing called Blackboard where you have to like, it's like a place you go to on a site that has like classes, grades, assignments you have to do, and then your exams. And I remember when I took my exam, even in physically, and they told us, okay, we're gonna do the exam on Blackboard, even though we're in class, is that we had to type it up, the code. And if you've ever done coding before, the biggest problem about it is that indentation matters. So whenever you try to move something into a certain spacing, it becomes a big problem when you're typing this stuff up. Now, ironically, like when you do it physically, like UMB does this physically where you write it down, like that can be, that can still kind of work better because you at least know where the spacing is. So what I'm trying to say is that there's like few problems that we gotta look at for when we're doing these exams in the online. The first is that we have to know if they're gonna be suitable for people who are taking the class online and they're not being a direct transition of taking a physical exam to like an online format, because they don't always translate very well. The second problem is how you can prevent students from like cheating or taking advantage of it, or at the very least um, like just not being motivated to take it, is that you got to make sure like you figure out like if there's going to be proctor you to find people how to do it, or if the exam is going to be suited so that you can use OpenNote. Like there's OpenNote exams for these type of things, or there's take-home exams for the stuff. And like the third one is I think it's just timing. Yeah, that's another thing I should have brought up also, is timing. Like when I took my final exam during the pandemic, we had to come and do those exams at a specific time. And then we have to think about if that's really a good idea to do that in the first place, because let me tell you guys, like when I took it, like there was a deadline for when the exam, what day you had to be able to do the exams, but that was fine. But then the thing that really mattered when you had to take the exam, you had to go to an app or website that my professor just looked it up and figured out, okay, that works, and then just put your name in, like put your like appointment for that type of stuff, and it can be kind of hard to understand. But yeah, I got it. But yeah, that's all the 3 points I wanted to bring up on that question.
No, thank you. That was a very detailed answer. I think you bring up some interesting points that it is going to change, like just the way you take the exam physically versus on the computer. And like Rifa said, just even like the environment being different and having like different expectations and motivations. And like, I don't know, for me, stress isn't fun, but like when I'm taking an exam, that's what like that adrenaline is what helps me get through it. And like, I guess sometimes when you're doing it just at home, it might not be there. And I don't know if that'll be worse or good, but it is definitely something to think about.
Sure.
Ishmael, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so here in the US specifically, College Board administered exams are limited to 1 hour. So each of my exams were only 1 hour, and 2 questions would represent an entire year's worth of education. So I thought that was pretty unfair. And for some students, they had connectivity issues as well. For example, on my history exam, I had problems with submitting, so I had to retake it during the summer. But hopefully the infrastructure will be better after this. So online learning will become better, I hope.
I'd also like to add a point which Farhan pointed out, that we have to give an exam like at a specific time. So if you are living in America and you're under an American school or university, it's easy for you. I had friends over who went back to Vietnam and they had to wake up at 3 a.m. and sit for an exam. So I cannot imagine how it must be like for them to have that stress at such an odd timing. So that's also another big inconvenience.
No, yeah, definitely. And I think even just in the US, like making sure where you are and when you're taking the exam, you can take the exam, you know, whether like the people around you, you're like, you even have like access to the computer at that time or something. And so it is definitely something to think about, how almost everything, especially because like testing and exams for American schools are so important. Like that's how you evaluate everything. So I don't know if this is something to think about later on in the future, and how if this will change how education, our education system works, but we shall see. So I don't think there are any more questions from the audience. I don't know if you guys have any more comments to say, any more concerns to bring up. If you do, this is the time. I'll open it up to you guys. Or if there's something you're excited about for this upcoming semester for your school, something that like to end on a positive note that you guys are excited about. Or we could not be excited about anything.
Yeah, there's not much exciting about Zoom calls.
Yeah.
No, but I think school reopening is a positive perspective. You still get to meet your friends, and you still get to see them, which was becoming kind of impossible when we spoke in March. That what are we going to do? So I think that's a very good. At least we're going on, and you guys are safe. So that speaks a lot. That we're making progress here. But do you like? I think I want to ask all of you because I have been feeling this for a long time now. Because I don't right now, meet someone, a new face, or just go out there and introduce myself or break icebergs. I have sometimes felt that I'm becoming socially awkward. Do you guys feel like that? That, when now suddenly you're just walking down or you will be going to school. Would you feel socially awkward for a second because you're like, new people, new faces. I haven't seen this for too long. So do you think you guys will be feeling that so awkward?
Yeah, I went to a store the other day and I couldn't. I'm so confused. Like, how do I talk to the person? How do I pay? I forgot all of that.
Well, I think yes, that's definitely something like I don't know what to do. Should I just go jogging and ignore the people and just not say hi? Tonight I ask about the weather. It's so weird. I think we have to be back to school, but of course, in a much more safe place because school is a safe place to be. So just good luck to all of you.
No, excellent discussion. Anyone else wanted to say something? Okay. Yeah. So one positive thing about all this is that nobody in the past had experienced this kind of time in their lifetime, and you all did. And that's what makes you very, very strong. You're coping with the situation that we're in, and we're still smiling, we're still together here. Imagine, like, every weekend we're all together, we talk about different things. We couldn't have done it without this situation. Actually, just think about it. So again, there's always something positive, and there's always hope. I mean, the scientists are working round the clock, and they're making very good progress. Like, we're in the third phase of our vaccine testing going on, so we're making very good progress. We'll get over it. And there was a show, I think yesterday, day before, on CNN. There's one elementary school teacher from Colorado Spring. Her name is Katie. I can't remember her last name. So they decided to open up the schools in her district. So she went back to her classroom to clean it and to see how she can manage all those little kids. And by cleaning that, she was showing, like, she burst into tears, and she got very, very emotional, and saying that, how can I bring my kids here and have them wearing masks all the time and not even hug or touch or talk? Or, I mean, it's a very, very difficult situation, even if they decide to open up. So again, the whole situation, yes, we're in a little bit of a different norm. But again, there is hope, and before you know it, we'll be over it, and then we'll have all the fun that we are accumulating now, and we're gonna have a big gathering, and we'll hug each other, we'll talk to each other in person, and we'll do all kinds of stuff. So just hang in there and see how strong you are. And again, I was, as always, mesmerized by the level of discussion that we just had today. So yeah, thank you again. Thank you, each and every one of you. And you'll be back again. And as I always say, that this platform, it's one of the most powerful platform for your children. So please encourage your children. I get calls from all the parents whose kids already participated and they really want to see them again. And also you, the participants, keep calling me to be on the show again. So just imagine how much leadership that you have boosted up over the summer by doing this. So continue on your leadership role, and thank you again. And we'll see you next weekend. There is our Eid is on Friday, so we're still not sure whether we're going to be doing it next Saturday. But if we do, it's going to be kind of an Eid show, and then right after that, we're going to have a little bit of a technology based show. So there's more to come. So don't stop watching and don't stop encouraging your children. And again, see you next time, and thank you, and have a great weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna finish up with a little bit of a slideshow that I always do. So just stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. Thank you again.